It's time for a Euros 2020 movie special episode. Are you ready? Hey, it's me, AP, and welcome to the Saturday Movie Show. And today's show is a very special episode because it is a Euros 2020 football movie special. It's going to be a show where I dedicate to the tournament that is taking place, the football tournament, now the Euros, the finals will be this Sunday. England are in the finals against Italy, which is so awesome. And it's going to be a show as well where I'm looking at football movies as well, or soccer movies if you're living across the pond. Because I want this to be an episode that I know a lot of people don't like football, and some people do. Not everyone likes football. I'm fully aware of that. I like football, but I know it's not for everyone. But this is an episode where if you're not into the football, there's going to be a bit of football chatter, a tiny bit on the Saturday Movie Show today, but there's going to be chatter about football, soccer movies, and that is something what I think. Hopefully, if you're not into football, you will be interested in it. It'll be a nice little bit of chatter for the Saturday Movie Show. But as I said, the England are in the finals tomorrow. I was gonna do this episode. I was umming and ahhing about doing this episode at the start of the tournament. I was thinking, should I do at the start of the tournament a Euros 2020 movie special? And just to sort of like not confuse you as well, it's called Euros 2020 if you're not aware, because the finals were meant to take place last year, but because of the pandemic, it got delayed till this year. But they're still calling it Euro 2020. Just so you know, I'm not like getting the year wrong or anything. It is called the 2020 Euros. But yeah, I was thinking about doing this at the start of the competition, but I decided against it. Then England have done really well, got to the finals, and it is like a once in a lifetime thing. I mean, never in my lifetime have England got to a final, which is crazy. So I thought, why not do a special today, a special episode to celebrate the football and football movies as well. So hopefully it'll be a fun-packed episode. But before we dive into the episode as a whole, as always, I'm getting tongue-tied here because of the excitement of the Euros, I'm going to discuss. As always, we're going to go to the first section of the show, which is the not-so-worthy blockbuster housekeeping. This is the part of the show where I discuss what's going on with the channel, some updates, and just a nice bit of opening chat for the show, for today's show. So first of all, what do I want to talk about? On the housekeeping today. This week, a video that came out this week is the last in the movie collection tour videos. Part 4 came out this week. And gotta say, like I said, I've said it on previous episodes, I've been really happy with this series, doing the 4 collection videos of the cabinet behind me, the movie shelf. It's been really cool doing this and just chatting away and discussing the movies and just going through them and seeing what's in there and just reigniting that passion for some of the movies that I've not seen in a while, not watched in a while as well. So I've really enjoyed that. That is going to be the last one for this year now. I won't be doing any more of them, of this collection anyway. Maybe other parts of the collection or other parts of the movie room or my sort of like movie watching experience and stuff like that. But this shelf behind me is done for the year at the moment. But even now, this collection is already changed from the other day. I've actually got a few changes behind me. I don't know if you notice them. But I'm still always like, looking at the collection and just sort of like minimizing it and saying, this one I probably won't watch again, get rid of it or donate it or put it into my smaller collection upstairs in like the little wallet I have, DVD wallet. And sorry, just making sure I'm recording. We're recording. We are recording. But yeah, it's always changing. The collection's always changing, and I think that's a good thing for anyone who's collecting movies or any type of physical media. For you always to assess it and see what you have, and if you're not happy, if you don't feel like you're getting use out of something, let's say to yourself honestly, probably don't need it anymore. Let's get rid of it. And I constantly do that, and I've done that since doing them videos, which is a good thing. I think it's a good thing anyway. I think it's always good to have a clear out and not just hold on to stuff for the sake of holding on to it. I think that's always important. But they've been really fun videos, and it's been great to see the engagement with the community. People, discussing the movies in the collection, which has been awesome. I've really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed doing them videos. Next up, I will be filming some more content today. I will be doing bunch of fresh content, film it today. I was planning to do it the other day, but I just lost track of time, and I'm going to be filming about 4 or 5 videos today, which will come out over the space of the next month, which is going to be good. They're going to be just, our normal videos for the channel. I'm still looking at like experimenting in different types of videos as well. I know a few people mentioned, like, I think Sean in the community mentioned doing like haul videos, and I said to Sean, for me, I don't think I bring in enough on a regular basis to do haul videos, even though I do enjoy them type of videos. But I would like to do something like where I'm out and about at some point, just going out with a camera in the wild or something. Maybe not a haul video. I don't know whether it be like visiting a movie set or something. I don't know, just something that breaks the chain of normal content on the channel. I think it's just cool sometimes to do that. So maybe any ideas? I mean, if you have any ideas of something which would be cool to film, I'm always open to ideas for new content ideas, and just to any new content ideas. It's not a plea. I'm like drying out of content. I'm dried out of content ideas, but I just always want to find out what you guys are interested in and what you would like to see coming from the channel, as well as the podcast and the weekly episodes. I want people to know that they can say they'd like to see something like this sort of content. I think that'd be cool. Just to, I always think it's good to engage with the community here and just to keep on discussing and grow together, evolve together. I think it's always a good idea. But that is that. But what else we got on? So that was another thing. I wanted to talk about goals for the channel because we're halfway through this year now. What are the goals for the channel moving forward? And I've kind of set myself a goal now for the YouTube side of things to hit an amount of subscribers by the end of 2021. I think it'll be I think it's an achievable goal, and it's something something to just aim for. Just make it a little like a fun little like a meter to hit, a little target. So the target is, I think we're at about 410, 420 around that number. It changes daily. Sometimes it goes up, sometimes it goes down. If we can hit 500 or 500 over subscribers by the end of 2021, I think that'd be a really cool thing for the channel. It's not that I get anything out of it. I don't get any. I mean, you don't get one of them big YouTuber plaques or anything. I just think it'd be cool, a nice little target, a little fun, like a road to 500. A channel I always used to watch. I don't watch it as often now, but Wrestle Talk is a wrestling channel, news channel, but they used to do like the road to 500, the road to 1,000 subscribers and stuff like that. I always thought it was really cool the way they did it. So maybe that's something. I think that's something I'd like to do. Maybe incorporate that into like a fun little bit in the show where we do the road to 500 subscribers. So that is something I think we will do in the channel. But anyway, let's move forward with the show. So to the headline topic of the show. England in the Euros and Euros 2020 as a whole. What have I thought of the tournament so far? Personally, I've really enjoyed it. I've really enjoyed the Euros so far. It's been great seeing. Look, let me just say, I'm very skeptical about England. I'm very blunt about England. I think England over my lifetime anyway have been absolutely awful in any type of like international tournaments, World Cup, Euros. They've been awful, and I am very much I went into this tournament very not bothered about it, and very sort of like, I don't think they're going to do much. I'm not really that bothered. I prefer league football. I prefer supporting my own team rather than watching England. And that's me being honest. I like to be as honest as possible. I suppose it was the point where I sort of got a bit more excited and more excited for the tournament and more excited for what England could do was when they beat Germany. I feel like that point I was like, oh, maybe they've got something here. And since then I've been a bit more excited about it, and now I'm all in. I'm really excited to see the first final of England in my lifetime. It's going to be awesome to see. But yeah, I'm not like I'm still going to say it now. I'm not like a super England football fan. I never watch the friendlies. I only ever watch tournaments, and even at tournaments like this year, I've watched the games, but still I've been kind of switched off on the early games because I'm not like as zoomed into it, but I feel like I'm getting more like excited over it and more passionate about it now. But uh, I suppose you've got to support your home country. I think it's always important. Well, it's important if you like the sport. I mean, you shouldn't just watch it for the sake of watching it. But I like football. I've enjoyed it. I think let's look at the England team though. The notable performers in the team. I think you got to look at like Raheem Sterling. He has been fantastic, and considering he has had a kind of like off form season at City, at Man City, he's not really done much. He's not played as much as frequently as normal seasons. It's a bit of a weird one because you look and he's really performed really well in the tournament. Luke Shaw has been great all season for United. I'm a United fan. I think he's been great all season. And for England, he's been superb. He's been great, getting some really good crosses in. Harry Kane has been great, especially over the last couple of games. He's really come into his form. It feels like Harry Kane in seasons, and normal seasons and in tournaments, he's a very slow starter. Once he gets in the rhythm, though, he starts scoring goals. He's amazing. And they really have, Gareth Southgate has built a really good team from... a lot of people, myself included, looked at that team and thought he got the selection wrong. He picked too many right backs. It just didn't look like the strongest of teams. But he's nailed it so far. He's picked it really well. He's guided the team really well. He's made decisions on the pitch where sometimes, like the other night in the semis against Denmark, he brought Grealish on, Jack Grealish, and then maybe after only being on for about 30 minutes, he took him off. So he took an attacking player off to become more defensive. And you never really get that where a substitute comes off. It's very rare, but he's making them ruthless decisions, what a manager has to make, which I think is really important in football. And it just shows great leadership. So I think they've done really good in this tournament so far. So I suppose the most important question is, will England beat Italy in the finals? That is... It's a tough one, isn't it? It's a tough one. Italy are a good team. They've not been beaten in I think it's like 20 games or something, or so many games. It's like a ridiculous amount of games now. Mancini is a great manager. And if you look at the performances of England, of Italy, sorry, they are, super solid in defence and they can attack as well. They've just got an all-round great team. And you look at that team and it's probably going to be a team that's going to be dominant for the next 4 years or so. They've got a solid unit there, and I think they are going to be a really tough game. It's going to be a tough game. It's not going to be... This isn't going to be a 4-0 game. This is going to be a very tight affair. It's going to be very much a very tactical affair where, one team takes one step, the other team takes another step. It's just going to be very, very methodical in the football, I think, this final. And it's, them games are going to be tense, and this is going to be a super intense game. And can England win it? I think they've got the quality, England. I think England have surprised us all so far. They've surprised us with what they've done. They've got a young team, but they've got a mix of young, a lot of young players. There's certainly more young players than old players in this team, but they've got young, experienced players. They've got a mixture of mid-20 players in the mid-20s who have got a lot of experience as well. You've got some really established players in there mixed in with some maybe not so established players. Like you look at Declan Rice, you've got Calvin Phillips. They play for teams that are not like your top teams in the league. They play for West Ham and Leeds, but they've been the central pairing throughout this tournament and they've been fantastic. And then you mix them in with players like Harry Kane and Luke Shaw and some of the more established players like Raheem Sterling as well, and you've got a good combination there. I feel like they're playing without fear as well. That's what I like to see. England in the past, they got to the tournaments, they played really well in the qualifiers to get to the tournaments, and they look scared. They look like they're running around with loose chickens. They don't know what they're doing. They're scared. They are fearful of what their opponents can do to them. They don't feel like they can play with the confidence that they can normally play in games. It's just an absolute lose all the composure, and it's just the nervousness of tournaments in the past. But it seems like This time, maybe it's a fact they're playing a lot of the games at the home stadium of Wembley. They're playing them in England. They're not playing them away from home. Maybe that's another factor. Who knows? But I think they can be. I think they can beat Italy. Whether they do, that's another question. My gut says, you know what? I don't really want to say because I don't want to jinx it. You know what? I don't want to. Do I say? Do I say what the result? What I think it's going to be? This is hard. I'm not going to say it. I'm going to say it. I think England are going to win 1-0. I think it's going to no. I think yeah. I'm going to go with 1-0. I think it's going to go to extra time. I think it's going to be 0-0 after extra time, and I think it's going to be a 1-0 win in extra time for England. That's what I'm going to say. I'm nervous. I'm nervous about doing that. If I've cursed them now, I do apologise. I apologise. It's tense. It's tense as a football fan. That's what it's like being a football fan. It's very tense. But yeah, I think England can do it. I'm hopeful they can. I'm not going to ever bet against my own team. I'm never going to say Italy are going to win. I can't say that. I couldn't say Italy are going to win this game now. I couldn't give you that Italy score. I feel ashamed of myself. I wouldn't be able to put this on YouTube, this podcast. Yeah, but I fingers crossed. I really do hope England can do it. I think it's 1966, the last time we won a tournament. I think it's the only time. I think it's the only time ever we've ever won a tournament, as far as to my knowledge, unless we've won like any mediocre cups in the past as well. But 1966, the World Cup, that is mad. It's absolutely mad that we've never won anything since then. And hopefully we can win it. We can win the Euros, and we hopefully can win, more after that, because we've got a youngish team. What will only get better. And I think whatever happens after tomorrow's game, this team is just going to get better and better now. If they keep Southgate, if they keep on improving, they can really challenge the stuff in the future as well. I think that's the most important thing, looking at this team. I'm really excited for this. I'm going to be really pumped. I'm going to be nervous watching the football tomorrow. I think it's going to be, for everyone in the country, everyone's going to be nervous. Everyone's going to be singing, it's coming home. I'm like, how many times have you heard that in the past week? It's coming home. I say it jokingly now. When I'm out and about, I'm saying, what do you reckon? Do you reckon it's coming home? And I just I walk off, I got my mask on, and I snigger to myself because I just think it's humorous when people say it's coming home. It cracks me up now because I know some people don't like hearing that. I think it's just like, and I think it just sounds a bit silly. Have you heard it? It's coming home. Yeah, it's coming home. Yeah, definitely. So I keep on saying that, but it's fun. It's going to be cool. I can't wait. And fingers crossed. Fingers and toes crossed, ladies and gents. Fingers and toes crossed. So now we've got the football talk out of the way, let's move on to some football-based movies. And I've got 4 movies I want to discuss today. I'm sure there's plenty of soccer movies, football movies out there to discuss. I thought I'd talk about these ones because the ones I'm more aware of and I've watched plenty of times, so I can talk about them a bit more fluently. So let's go with the movies. The first one I want to talk about is one I've talked about on the show before, and it is Escape to Victory, starring Sylvester Stallone. It's got Michael Caine in there. It's got a bunch of actual real footballers like Pele, a ton of other footballers as well. Max von Sydow's in this as well. It's a really good movie. It's sort of like set on a war camp, and it's an escape during World War II during a football game. I think it's a really good story. Stallone is great in it. Michael Caine's great in it. And it's just a movie I've always really enjoyed. It's very reminiscent of like the Great Escape, very much like that sort of movie. But it's a really good story throughout this, and it's got a bit of everything. It's because it's got that war setting as well as the football setting. I think it's a really good story. So Escape to Victory is definitely one I would recommend you watch first of all if you've never seen that one. Another one I want to watch, not one I want to watch, is There's Only One Jimmy Grimble. I don't. The next 3 movies I don't have on physical anymore. I must have got rid of them at some point for some reason, or I can't find them at all. I used to have copies of them, but I don't have them anymore. But There's Only One Jimmy Grimble. This is a football movie that was released in the early 2000s. I think it was 2000 it was released. And it stars Robert Carlyle, Ray Winston. They both star in this. And it's about a young boy who is a Manchester City supporter. And he's brought up in Manchester, and he's not great at life, at football, and then basically he gets hold of these magic boots, these old football boots, which apparently are a legendary Manchester City footballer, his boots, and basically he puts them on and he goes from being this really bad footballer to being superb. He's like very much like a young Wayne Rooney. He's looking amazing. He loses the boots throughout the story, and then you see something else happen in the story. It's a really good story, though. I really like Jimmy Grimble. I suppose it's a bit like I think it was out around the same time as like Billy Elliot. Billy Elliot, the ballet film, and it's kind of similar, like a similar formula to that, I suppose. If you look at it, like this young aspiring sports person, young aspiring dancer. I like the story. It's in a working class background in Manchester. I think it's a really good story. Some great acting from Robert Carlyle and Ray Winston. I really enjoy it. I think it's a great British movie, and I don't know if it's translated and it's crossed the world as much. I don't know if like in the US, if you've ever heard of Jimmy Grimble, but it's a good film and it's a good football movie, well worth checking out. So the third movie I want to discuss is Vinnie Jones. Vinnie Jones, yeah, I'm doing me Vinnie Jones accent. He's a big Cockney guy, and he like that. I don't think he talks like that at all. I know he's a Cockney, but that was a horrible impression. Vinnie Jones in Mean Machine. Mean Machine was a remake of the American movie. Is it The Longest Yard? I believe. I know they've done a Longest Yard remake as well. It stars Vinnie Jones. He was an actual footballer in real life. He played for Wimbledon. He's a now turned actor, and this must have been early 2000s, 90s. Mean Machine came out, and basically he's an ex-footballer in the movie, gets sent to prison, and then it's a game. They do like a game within the prison, and it's the inmates versus the prison guards, and Vinnie Jones captains the team. It's a really good story throughout. I like the story. There's a lot of it's a very much like a comedy. Sort of like very much like the Lock, Stock movies, Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrel movies. I'm not too sure who directed it, whether who directed, was it the guy who does the Lock, Stock movies? I'm not sure. I don't think it was, but it's very much reminiscent of them sort of feel of movies. It stars Jason Statham as well. Jason Statham in one of his earlier roles is in this. I think he's as the monk, is it? And he plays he's like the mad goalkeeper, and that was always like a memorable. Like when I always think about film, I always think of Jason Statham as the crazy goalkeeper in this movie, The Monk. Really funny, and you've got Danny Dyer as well, another British guy. But there's a whole host of British actors in this that you would know, and I really like Mean Machine. To be honest, I've not watched it in a couple of years, but it's one I think maybe I'm going to revisit over the next day or so before the finals. Just get in the mood for the Euros, watch some football movies. So Mean Machine will definitely be on my list of movies. But the fourth and final movie I want to discuss is Porridge. The Porridge movie. Now, Porridge, if you don't know what Porridge is, Porridge was a 70s British sitcom starring Ronnie Barker and Richard Beckinsale. It was a sitcom, Ronnie Barker was playing the star character of Fletch, and he's in prison. It's a prison setting, but it's a comedy, and the show lasted for a few series over here in the UK. Really big show in the UK, and a very popular show. Even now, you get reruns of Porridge over here a lot. Let me know if you know of Porridge in America and Canada and beyond. If you've ever watched it, how big is it in other countries? But Porridge is pretty big over here, I would say. Well-known sitcom. But they did a spin-off movie after a few years. I think it was a few years. It's 79, so it was a few years after the finish of the original show. But the movie is set a year before the final episode of the show. So it's kind of like an in-between canon. It's kind of like your Star Wars, and then you throw in like your Mandalorian in between that. But it featured all the main cast from the show, and it was basically the premise of the movie was the prisoners are involved with this charity game against a bunch of celebrities at the time. And then in between all this, they're having this celebrity football match versus the inmates. They have there's an escape, and there's an escape, and there's also a break-in to the prison as well. So some of the characters escape from the prison, but they also try and break back in. I won't tell you the outcome of the finishing of the movie, but it's a really fun movie. It's a classic British movie. It's light-hearted. Porridge is a very light-hearted humour, very British humour. I would say Ronnie Barker is a beloved, British comedian of the two Ronnies. He's now passed away many years ago now. But Richard Beckinsale as well was a very, he was like very prominent in the series and in the movie as well. Him and Ronnie Barker, sorry. And a lot of people would know, not know Richard Beckinsale, but they would know of his daughter, Kate Beckinsale, who's in the Underworld movies. Her dad, he died really young, but he was like well known for, I think it was even Robin's Nest over here, British show, and in Porridge as well. I think a lot of people would know him from Porridge. I'm pretty sure he was in Robin's Nest as well, or Man About the House. I think it was Robin's Nest. But Porridge is just a super funny movie. It's just something you can just chill out to. And I know I say that a lot with movies, a certain movie is not too harsh on the eyes, it's not heavy, it's something you can just put on, and it's funny, it's daft, it's silly, it's not something you have to like zone straight in on. You can have it on in the background. It's something what everyone can watch. It's one for the whole family as well, which I like. But it's a good football movie as well. And that ends my choices of football movies, football recommendations. Let me know what ones of those movies you have watched and whether you got any more recommendations on the football side of things. But anyway, what have I been watching this week, ladies and gents? I have been watching some new movies. Some new movies indeed. I watched the new Chris Pratt movie. I will just say spoilers for the Tomorrow War. I'll try not to go too spoil heavy, but there may be spoilers here for the Tomorrow War in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So Tomorrow War is an Amazon Prime exclusive movie. Chris Pratt starring. It's a sci-fi movie, and it's a movie all about time travel. Basically, time travelers hit Earth and tell the people of Earth that Earth is going to end in like 30 years' time by these aliens. And then, they've got to send the people of Earth now 30 years before to the future to help fight the war against these creatures. And it's a cool, I thought the concept of time travel in this movie was done well. I think sometimes time travel can be, we get sick of time travel because it's done so much in movies, but this one does it well, and it doesn't feel like it's been done so much before. I think it's an interesting concept, the way they did this movie. I thought it was really cool, and the way they explain certain stuff in this movie I really liked. I enjoyed Chris Pratt in this. I like Chris Pratt in the Guardians movies. I like this movie as well. It kind of didn't, went under the radar a bit, this one, because I'd heard little bits of it, but I didn't really know what to expect, and then I just seen it on Prime, and I give it a watch, and I thought it was really good. I really enjoyed the movie. Some J.K. Simmons is in this movie as well, which is I think J.K. Simmons is fantastic. It's well worth the watch, and what I would describe this movie as is very much like I know Chris Pratt is in the new Jurassic World movies, but the aliens in this are very much like, it feels like a Predator meets Jurassic World. They're very much like dinosaur aliens, and I was watching this and I thought, this feels like a Predator / Jurassic Park movie. It's a really good movie, and you'll be watching that and you'll hear them and you'll see them the way they are, these aliens, and you'll say, I think you'll feel the same as me. I felt straight away, I was like, this feels like a Predator-esque Jurassic Park movie. But well worth checking out, ladies and gents. Let me know if you've watched it already, what your thoughts are on this. Whether you think time travel has been redone too many times, but I thought it was a fresh sort of telling of time travel in movies. I really enjoyed it. Next up, this morning I've rewatched War of the Worlds, the Tom Cruise, Steven Spielberg movie. I watched it years ago, and I've not watched it since. I maybe watched it a few times on telly, but couldn't really remember that much of this movie. And at the time, I don't think I think it was a movie I enjoyed, but maybe I just didn't give it as much of my time and as much of my effort, and watched it again this morning. And I gotta say, I really enjoyed it. I think it's a great sci-fi movie, a great telling of the famous War of the Worlds book, or short, is it a book or short story? I thought it was great. I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed Tom Cruise's performance in it. I thought it was a great soundtrack score from John Williams. I think the only thing with War of the Worlds, which was kind of like a bit of a damper, I feel like the ending is kind of a bit flat. I feel like the ending, you get to the end and it's not like a super huge ending. It's just like he delivers his daughter to the mother, and there's not much to it. But I feel like the stuff that happens in between all that sort of pays it off more, like the middle of the story and the attack of the aliens attacking and stuff. Like, I feel like there's a lot of story in that which makes it a good movie for me to watch and a good sci-fi movie, even though the ending is somewhat flat. But I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it, and because I've not watched it in years, I really appreciated it, and so again reignited a love for that movie that maybe wasn't there when I first watched it. And I would watch it again now. I think it's a really good sci-fi movie. I think the alien design on the monster on the aliens is great. The actual the big like robot is fantastic. When you see them attacking people, it's scary. You know, you're watching it and you're seeing the attack and you're seeing the lightning and the thunder, and you feel the fear factor of that. You feel like scared for the characters, and I think it was done really well. And I really enjoyed it. And as a sci-fi movie, maybe if you've not watched it in a while, definitely check out War of the Worlds. It's well worth checking out, ladies and gents. Another one I watched, well, I've watched half of, so I can't really say fully on the movie what I think of it fully, but I mentioned it last week on the show, Psycho Gorman, and I finally got around to watching it this week. I watched half of the movie. I've still got to watch like the end bit. What do I think of it? I feel like the trailer was great. The movie it's okay. I'm not going to oversell it, and I'm not going to take a dump on it because it wasn't awful, but it wasn't as good as the trailer looked. I think the trailer looked amazing, and then the movie was a kind of a bit slow. There was a few funny moments in it, and look, this is a very low budget independent movie, and I get that. And I think the creature effects for what they've done on a low budget is phenomenal. It reminds me, I don't know if it reminds you out there, of Power Rangers, like the early shows of Power Rangers, the creature effects of like the monsters. It's like this monster comes down to Earth, and these kids then get control of this monster, Psycho Gorman, they rename it as. And the monsters, and you see the aliens in space, you see it looks like Power Rangers, like the monsters and like Lord Zed and the Machine Empire. It reminds me of all that, and that's what kind of the music as well was very reminiscent of Power Rangers as well throughout. I think little bits like that really made me have like that little affection for it, and that's where I did enjoy it, them bits. So I'm gonna watch the end of the movie, but it's worth the watch. From what I've seen so far, I think if you're into like horror comedy, it's worth the watch. If you like them Power Rangers, it's very cheesy, but it's, you know, you got to take it for what it is. It's not like a super serious movie, and I enjoyed what I watched so far, but I wouldn't say it's like the world's best movie. But it wasn't absolute garbage. That's what I'm kind of saying. Next up, I have watched the latest episode of Loki. I know Loki. A lot of people, maybe if you've not watched it, so I am going to do spoilers in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Spoilers for the latest episode of Loki. It was a very in between episode, wasn't it? Very in between. I think it's leading up to this big finale now. The last episode next week. I thought it was a good episode. I liked the mix of all these different Lokis. I feel like they could have done a bit more with it though. It was very. I don't know. You could have easily skipped out this episode in a way and just had maybe the end bit of the episode condensed down into 10 minutes. I do feel like I think it's going to be a good ending. I think, you know, every Marvel show so far has nailed the ending. I've got no doubt the ending's going to be great. I've been looking at like stuff on the internet, theories of who the true villain is. A lot of people are saying it's like a variant of Loki. Some are saying Mephisto. I have said initially I thought it was Mephisto, but now the fact that it's all about these variants, different variants of Loki, it kind of feels like that's the direction they're heading in. It's going to be this evil, super evil version of Loki is the true villain of the piece. And he's the one who's, you know, trying to take out all these other Lokis. And that kind of makes more sense than either Kang the Conqueror or Mephisto in a way. But maybe it's not any of them villains at all. Maybe it could be just someone everyone's just not thinking about. And I love this. This is what I like about these shows. It's the interest and the fan theories and the speculativeness of it all. I feel like for me, it's very much like a Lost Dharma Initiative sort of thing, the TVA. It's like they're doing this like do you know when they got the button and you have to put the numbers in on Lost and they're doing it and they don't really know why they're doing it. They're saying it's saving the world. And I feel like the TVA is very much the same thing. And they're just like doing this TVA, the sacred timeline, trying to save it for the sake of saving it, and they don't really know why. But I think we're obviously gonna find out at the end of the show. I do feel like it is a very Dharma Initiative, Lost style of storytelling as well. But I'm enjoying it so far. I'm looking forward to the finale though. Definitely, it's gonna be ace. So we're nearly at the end of the show, but before we end today's show, I want to do, as always, some movies for the weekend, ladies and gents. And this past week, we had the passing of the late, great director, Richard Donner. And, two of my favourite movies, Richard Donner movies, directed movies, have got to be these two, what I'm going to recommend. First of all, Mel Gibson, Danny Glover, in Lethal Weapon, the first Lethal Weapon movie. Fantastic film, and one of my favorite action movies of all time. It's superb film, and Richard Donner nailed the action in this. He just nailed it. Directing Mel Gibson as Riggs, this psychopathic guy who's a cop as well, and then you've got Murtaugh, who's like this straight-laced guy who's trying to sort of like keep him like level-headed throughout this movie. It's just a great, buddy cop action movie of the 80s. I really love Lethal Weapon. And then I can't do the show without mentioning this one. Superman, I've got the collection here of all the movies, but the first Superman movie is great. I mean, second one is great as well. But the first one I really do enjoy. And again, Richard Donner directed both of these movies, so they're both two recommendations for the weekend, ladies and gents. He was, the guy was, what was he, like 95? That's an unreal age. I think if you get to that age, it's an age to definitely aim for. I want to live till 100. That's my aim. But which is very interesting as well. I know he was only announcing like last year that he was going to do a Lethal Weapon 5 and he was going to direct it. And I know there have been rumors over the years that he was going to come back and do a Lethal Weapon movie. But he was like all game for doing Lethal Weapon 5 at the age of like in his like mid-90s, which is phenomenal. I don't know how he died. I don't know what the circumstances of his death was, but he was obviously still active as a filmmaker and he was still loving filmmaking and he was loving films and it was a big passion of his, and I think it's awesome. And it's sad to see anyone pass away, but when you hear about someone who's so passionate about film, you can only just look at his life and just think, wow, that guy is remarkable, and he's had a remarkable life, and he should be honoured for his what he has given to us all as movie fans. I think is fantastic. But that is today's show, ladies and gents. I hope you've enjoyed today's show, the Euro 2020 and England football movie special. It's been a fun show to do. It's been fun looking at all these different football movies. I've really enjoyed it. And let me know, what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on the Euros? Do you think England are going to win? Who do you think is going to win? Is it going to be England or Italy? Who do you support nationally? Who's your national team? I want to know. I want to know all these things. And let me know what you think about the selection of football movies I discussed on today's show. What are your favourite football movies of all time? Give me your top 4 or top 3. Yeah, I went for top 4, but I'm going to say top 3 for you lot. Thank you as always for watching, and as always, I will see you next time.